pride yourself on being the person everyone turns to. The one who always has time to listen, always ready to help, always putting others first. Your friends call you selfless. Your family depends on you. Your colleagues know they can count on you for anything. But here's what nobody talks about. You're exhausted. Bone-deep, soul-crushing exhausted. You give and give until there's nothing left. And somehow, the people you help never seem to get better. They keep coming back, needing more, demanding more. And you can't say no. What if I told you that your compulsive need to help others isn't actually helping them at all? What if your kindness is keeping them weak? What if your selflessness is the most selfish thing you do? This is the codependency paradox. And Carl Jung understood something about it that most people never realize. Your need to help others isn't coming from love. It's coming from your shadow. The shadow of the helper. Carl Jung taught us that every human being has a shadow, the parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. For most people, the shadow contains their selfishness, their cruelty, their weakness. But for helpers, the shadow contains something far more dangerous, their need to be needed. Think about it honestly. When someone you've been helping finally gets their life together and stops needing you, how do you feel? Proud or abandoned? When people don't take your advice, do you feel concerned for them, or do you feel rejected? Jung called this the wounded healer archetype, the helper who helps others to avoid facing their own wounds. You see helplessness everywhere because you're projecting your own unconscious helplessness onto the world. You create dependent relationships because dependency makes you feel valuable. Your helping isn't about them. It's about you. It's about proving you're worthy of love. It's about feeling superior. It's about controlling others by making them dependent on you. And the most terrifying part? You've convinced yourself it's love. This isn't about becoming selfish. This is about becoming honest. Jung believed that until we face our shadow, we cannot truly help anyone. We can only use them to feed our unconscious needs. The projection trap. Here's how the projection trap works. You see someone struggling, and immediately you know exactly what they need to do. You have all the answers. You can see their problem so clearly. But somehow, they never follow your advice. They keep making the same mistakes over and over. Jung taught that what we see in others is often a projection of what we refuse to see in ourselves. When you look at someone and see helplessness, you're seeing your own unconscious helplessness. When you see someone making bad choices, you're seeing the bad choices you're afraid to acknowledge in yourself. The people you're drawn to help aren't random. They're mirrors. The woman who can't leave her toxic relationship reflects your inability to leave toxic patterns. The friend who can't manage money reflects your own financial fears. The family member who won't take responsibility reflects the responsibility you're avoiding in your own life. This is why your helping never works. You're not helping them solve their problems. You're using them to avoid solving yours. You're not healing their wounds. You're using their wounds to avoid facing your own. And here's the cruelest part of the projection trap. By constantly rescuing people, you're actually keeping them helpless. You're enabling their dysfunction because their dysfunction serves your psychological needs. You need them to need you. Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." For helpers, this means accepting that your helping might be hurting, that your love might be manipulation, that your selflessness might be the most selfish thing you do. The wounded anima and animus. Jung identified two crucial aspects of the psyche: the anima, the feminine principle within us, and the animus, the masculine principle. For helpers, these inner aspects are often wounded and seeking healing through others. If you constantly nurture others, you might be trying to heal your wounded anima by giving the care you never received. You hope that somehow, caring for everyone else will heal the neglected child within you, but it never does. If you constantly rescue others, you might be trying to heal your wounded animus by proving you're not the helpless person you once were. You save everyone else, hoping it will prove your own strength, but it never does. The people you help become containers for your wounded inner aspects. You're not seeing them as they are. You're seeing them as representations of your own inner wounds, and you're trying to heal yourself through healing them. But Jung taught that the anima and animus can only be healed through inner work, not through outer relationships. When you try to heal your inner wounds by helping everyone else, you're avoiding the real work of healing yourself. This is why helpers often feel empty even when they're constantly giving. You're pouring from an empty cup, hoping that the act of pouring will somehow fill it, but it never does. Only inner work can fill that cup. The individuation process. Jung's individuation process is the journey from unconscious helping to conscious service. It's the difference between helping because you need to and helping because you choose to. It's the difference between helping from emptiness and helping from overflow. Individuation for helpers begins with what Jung called the dark night of the soul. This is the moment when you realize that your helping hasn't been helping. When you see that your relationships are built on dependency, not love. When you understand that you've been using others to avoid yourself. This stage feels like death. Your entire identity has been built around being helpful, being needed, being good. When you realize that this identity might be false, you feel like you're disappearing. Who are you if you're not the helper? But Jung taught that this death is necessary for rebirth. On the other side of this dark night is your authentic self. The person you are when you're not performing helpfulness. The person who can help others because they want to, not because they need to. Individuation means learning to sit with your own discomfort instead of rushing to fix everyone else's. It means facing your own problems instead of focusing on other people's problems. It means becoming comfortable with not being needed. The individuated helper helps from a place of wholeness, not woundedness. They can say no without guilt. They can watch others struggle without rushing to rescue. They can offer support without taking responsibility for outcomes. They help because they choose to, not because they have to. The wisdom of boundaries. Let's talk about the word that makes every helper's skin crawl: boundaries. You've been told you need them, but every time you try to set one, you feel guilty. You feel selfish. You feel like you're abandoning people who need you. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern helpers have forgotten. They taught that we can only control our own actions, thoughts, and responses. Everything else, including other people's problems, feelings, and choices, is outside our control. But you've been trying to control the uncontrollable. You've been taking responsibility for other people's emotions, other people's choices, other people's lives, and it's killing you. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not about keeping people out. They're about keeping yourself in. They're about staying in your own lane, focusing on your own life, taking responsibility for your own healing. True boundaries are actually more loving than endless helping. When you stop rescuing people, you give them the gift of their own strength. When you stop solving their problems, you allow them to develop their own problem-solving skills. When you stop being their emotional crutch, you allow them to learn to stand on their own. The most loving thing you can do for someone is to believe in their ability to handle their own life. But you can't believe in their strength if you don't believe in your own. Breaking the cycle. Breaking the codependency cycle begins with radical self-honesty. You must be willing to examine your motivations for helping. Ask yourself, am I helping this person because they need help? Or because I need to feel needed? Start paying attention to how you feel when people don't take your advice. Notice the anger, the frustration, the sense of rejection. These feelings reveal that your helping was never about them. It was about you. Jung taught that we must integrate our shadow before we can truly serve others. For helpers, this means acknowledging the parts of yourself that are selfish, controlling, and needy. It means admitting that your helping has sometimes been manipulation disguised as love. Practice saying no to requests for help, even when you could easily say yes. Notice the guilt, the fear, the voice that tells you you're being selfish. Sit with these feelings instead of acting on them. Begin to help yourself with the same energy you've been giving to others. Solve your own problems, meet your own needs, heal your own wounds. This isn't selfish, it's essential. Stop giving advice unless someone specifically asks for it. Stop rescuing people from the consequences of their choices. Stop taking responsibility for other people's emotions. Let people have their own experiences. True service comes from overflow, not emptiness. When you've filled your own cup, you can offer water to others without depleting yourself. When you've healed your own wounds, you can help others heal without using them to avoid your own pain. The transformation. The journey from compulsive helping to conscious service is not easy, but it is necessary. It's the difference between being driven by unconscious needs and being guided by conscious choice. It's the difference between helping that hurts and helping that heals. When you stop helping from woundedness, you discover what it means to help from wholeness. Your relationships become authentic instead of codependent. People come to you not because they need you, but because they enjoy you. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For helpers, this means becoming someone who can choose to help rather than someone who is compelled to help. Someone who helps from love rather than need. The world doesn't need more helpers who help from their wounds. The world needs more people who have done their own inner work and can offer genuine service from a place of strength and wholeness. Remember, you cannot give what you do not have. You cannot heal others if you have not healed yourself. You cannot love others if you do not love yourself. The most radical act of service you can perform is to become whole. So stop helping everyone else and start helping yourself. Stop fixing everyone else and start fixing yourself. Stop saving everyone else and start saving yourself. This isn't selfish. This is the beginning of true service.